Welcome to the Heat Press for Profit podcast. If you are listening anywhere you listen to podcasts, that's great. Make sure you subscribe to the show where we launch a new episode every week. And I would encourage you to head over to Facebook, join our Heat Press for Profit community where you can interact with our guests and lots of your peers who also own a heat printing business. Now, I am host Kelly Walters, and this podcast is designed to have conversations with apparel decorators just like you and industry experts that have an impact on your business. I'm excited to say that we have Danielle Petrosky. She is a guest on the show today, and I believe this is your first time, and she is our senior social media marketing manager here at Stahls. And we are going to be talking about social media one-on-one, why it's important, and really what you need to do to kind of give your social media a facelift, or if maybe you're a little afraid to get started, well, we're going to give you some tips and tricks to help you propel forward. Now, Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today. Give us just a quick, intro about who you are and what you do for Stahls.
Thanks, Kelly. It's great to be here. Super excited to be talking about social today. So as Kelly said, I'm the senior social media marketing manager for Group Stahls. That is a mouthful, and I know it. So what I do is I oversee our social media teams at Stahls and Transfer Express currently. I help with strategy. I'm a community manager within our Heat Press for Profit Facebook group as well. So you may have spoken with me in there too. So that's basically what I do. I oversee all the channels. We're on 8 different channels, and we're always trying to keep up with trends and the best practices and all the different things. So that's what I do.
That's a lot to handle, 8 different accounts on different platforms, when each platform, they might request the same thing in terms of bio, handles, names, all of that. But each platform, you really kind of want to spin what it is and who you're targeting differently. So that's really important today. In the Heat Press for Profit community on Facebook, there was a question that was asked, what platform are you on the most? So as we're talking today, we are going to talk a little bit more about Facebook and touch just a little bit about Instagram. But as Danielle is going over her social media 101, just keep in mind that these are the elements that we're going to be talking about are very important for all social media accounts, but specifically we are going to talk about the importance of really making sure that your page for Facebook is up to par, right? So with Facebook, Danielle, what's really the difference between having a professional page or a business page versus just an individual page?
Well, if you are in business, I'm going to suggest that you have a business page, right? So the reason being is that profile pages are great for just individual things to keep up with your friends and family, things of that nature. But the business page gives you more access to different things. You can see insights about what's working, what's not working on your page. You're able to launch ad campaigns for your business from the business page. There's just different perks you get when you're working with a business page. You can do more. There's videos and events you can do. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with a business page. Although I recommend having both. I recommend having a personal profile and a business page, because then there are benefits to sharing things from your business page to your personal page, so your friends and family can see that as well as your ideal customer.
So it's really kind of like a 2-for-1, right? Like you can spread that marketing around just a little bit. If you've got an event set up on your business page, then you can turn around and share that on your personal page, kind of double dip, make sure that you're hitting the algorithm, right? You never know who they're getting your event in front of, but if you share it on your personal page, then you at least have the chance of getting in front of more people, leading them back to your professional page.
Correct. Yeah.
So if somebody has a professional page, because that's going to be our focus, what are like the key elements of setting up your page? Because I look at it as kind of being your storefront, your brick and mortar. That's how you let people know visually that you have a business, especially if you don't do email marketing, text marketing. Maybe you don't even have a website, right? Because there's still some businesses out there that don't have even a nicely organized website. So they may utilize a business profile on Facebook as their website and way to get in contact. What are key features or key points on that profile page that somebody should make sure that they have, checked off that list?
Yeah. So I would say your profile picture, if it's your business page, it should be your logo. So that's brand recognition, right? So your logo should be in the profile picture, which is the circle picture on the Facebook page. Your header image, which is when you go to your main business Facebook page, there's a large image at the top. That should convey what you do. So that should be, if you do t-shirts, you could have something to that effect, different designs, different logos, things like that. You could have your logo on it as well, but just make sure that it does convey what you do. There was an example that we shared in a different conversation about I was helping someone with their page and they had a header image that was their logo and it was very cool, but it didn't convey anything. It didn't describe anything that they did. I asked other people, like, what do you think this guy does? And they're like, oh, he's totally into graphic design or tech, but not t-shirts. Like that didn't even come to mind. So just making sure that those things are uh, filled out or representative of your brand. So another thing to do though with that header is when you put a photo in there and make sure you're getting the right sizes and dimensions. And those are, every channel has its own dimensions. That no one makes it easy. Like every one of them is different.
Of course not, right?
Yeah,
That'd be too easy.
It's like, oh, I wish. But there are different places you can go. You can go to facebook.com and get the dimensions. There's also a company called louisem.com, LUISEM as in Mary.com. She keeps up with all of the dimensions of all social channels. So she has a great cheat sheet and she keeps up with it all the time. So we use that a lot just to have the most up-to-date versions. But so make sure that your image looks good in your header and looks good on both your desktop and mobile, because most people are looking on mobile, but a lot of people are designing on desktop. So you have to make sure that both look good. But there's also a section when you click on, or when someone clicks on your header photo, it will pop up and there's a whole description, which is real estate for you to describe what you do or what this image actually is. Because it could be, you can switch those out. We try and do it like quarterly. So you can switch it out for seasons. You could, whatever it is that you're offering, you can switch out your header, but make sure you're switching out your description and how people can get what's in the image itself. You can have a link to that goes to your website or your Facebook shop or whatever it is, wherever you sell it. Or you can put in there, DM me to, you know, to get more information or anything like that. So just making sure that you're filling the things out. Like Facebook gives you a lot of great information or a lot of great areas on the profile to fill out to get your message across and your contact information.
So you talk about real estate, and I think that's really important because it's when you go to a business profile, right? You typically see the information about that business right underneath the banner, or it's right by the profile picture. And it's so important that you actually utilize that, because if for some reason you do have a different banner or a different profile picture that doesn't necessarily align with your business, that info or that description is going to really tell the viewer that's coming to your page exactly what it is that you do. And with that, description in the info box, is it important to use bullet points? Is it better to have a paragraph? Is, a little not enough? I know when, sometimes in conversations, it's like, keep it short, keep it bulleted, get straight to the point. But, when it comes to social media and your page, is being detailed better?
Well, I would say it's twofold there. I think there are sections in the profile description or bio, however you want to say it. One is an intro to your page. So in that section, it should say why someone should be following you. What are you going to offer people? What's in it for them to follow your page? You have to be quite concise because it's a limited number of characters. So, for instance, our intro says, like and follow us to learn more about heat press or heat presses, HTV, DTF transfers. Those are all keywords that when someone goes into Facebook or really Google too, and they search for those keywords, our channels pop up because those are keywords that people are searching for. But it's also why someone should follow us because we give education on those items and more. So there's that section. On the description of your business, that's another section of the profile. I would say give as much as you can information about your business, like maybe your hours, of course, and things of that nature, but sort of what you offer, right? So if you offer embroidery, if you offer heat transfer vinyl, if you offer patches and custom logos and heat press services, I would put that in there as well. I believe that, in general, bullet points are better because it's easy to read paragraphs. Sure. No one's reading paragraphs anymore. What does Ted Lasso say? We are a goldfish community.
Yeah, I love
10
that.
seconds, we forgot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would go with bullet points and keep it simple. Keep it simple enough, but I mean, you don't have to go on and on and on, but give a pretty good description of who you are. And so one thing I was thinking about as you were talking earlier was, let's say someone's going through the feed, because not everyone goes to your page right away, right? They're going through their feed, they're seeing things that maybe are that Facebook is feeding to you that they think you would be interested in. And then let's say you come across something and you're like, oh, that t-shirt's kind of cool or whatever. And you click on the business itself and you think, how or who is this? I want to check them out. Well, if I get to a profile and the phone number's not there, the website's not there, the something's not there, like to make it look like a real business, I'm out. I'm not one, and I think I speak for millions of people because they do this too. 2 or 3 clicks is too many. I'm not digging down deep. Like if you don't want me to buy your stuff, okay. And when you don't put your description out there, or you don't put your hours, or you don't put your phone number or who owns the joint or anything, I'm not going to go looking for that because there's a billion other t-shirts out there too.
It's
Right?
like a brick and mortar store not having an open sign. You
Yeah.
don't know if they're open. You don't know. They don't have hours pasted on their door. If you can't see in, right, for lights, then you don't even know if you can enter into that business. So covering all of those pieces are really just signals to let people know that you are open, you are an actual business, and this is how to get in touch with me because I want to do business with you. It's not just a pretty page where that you showcase
Right.
your work, right? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, you're there to make money and get more orders, and you have to make sure that you've got that communication for people to know how to get in touch with you. Now,
Absolutely.
when it comes to Facebook and you've checked the list of making sure you have the correct profile picture, the banner, the description, your bio, info, how to get in touch, phone number, what else am I missing? Like website. I know there's a website a section as well. When you've got all of those covered, what's really the most important when it comes to the media side of social media? Because, you can post whatever you want, quotes, pictures, items, but I feel like a lot of people really get held up on, I don't know what to post. What am I supposed to put out there? Or they're overthinking everything that they need to use.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say your first uh thing on your list before you really even start doing anything. I mean, you can post about your product, of course, but who are you posting for? Right? I think before you even get on social media in general, I think you need to figure out who is your ideal customer? Like, who do you want to sell to? And let me tell you, every time I ask that question, every person says, everyone. I want to sell to everyone.
The
And
masses.
well, I get that. You really, I mean, think about it. You have to think in terms of, do you want to sell to 13-year-old girls who don't make any money? No, you want to sell to their parents, or you want to sell to, you know, the football team. But the football team is really the coach or the parents or things like that. So how will you be posting, or how will your content resonate with the people that you want to attract? Right? So um that's the media part of it. That's the figuring out what's going to make sense for the audience that you want to attract. Um, and it will be so much easier to find your niche. It will be so much easier to talk to a specific group of people as opposed to a huge group. Like I just asked another business owner recently about this, and I said, what's the age group you're looking for? And they said 18 to 60. And I said, oh, that's a big jump because the messaging or the conversation with an 18-year-old is very different and their pain points are very different than your 60-year-old.
Yeah.
So those are many different messages. You would have to do something for like 18 to maybe 22, and then the next section would be maybe 22 to 30, and
Yeah.
then 30 to 40. Like those are lots of different messages. So now, I'm not saying you can't sell to multiple different people. Of course you can. But if you focus in on maybe one type of group, it will be much simpler for you to talk to them and sell to them, right?
I think that's one thing that people kind of forget. Just because you have a niche or a target market does not mean you can't have a variety of customers and orders. But at the end of the day, when you are targeting somebody, when you're going after someone, when you're trying to obtain more business, there's got to be some type of focus. Otherwise, you're just swimming in an ocean and you really don't have a path. So if your target market really is, say, maybe 25 to 35, or they're 30 to 40-year-olds, and you do have that 10-year gap, at the end of the day, who are you trying to go after? Are they people in business? Is it coaches that are looking for, say, new types of teamwear? Is it someone that is looking for inspirational product, right? Because they're at a certain point and they just want something funny or relatable content. That's okay to have a narrowed down lane, but you can still attract people from outside of your niche. And people, I think, look at a niche as being stuck in a box, and that's not the case.
No. I literally, as I said before, it really does make things so much simpler, right? Because of when you're talking to or you're posting for, and when I say talking to, it's the same idea of, like, when you think of things to post, you think of how will that 35-year-old mom, what's
Yeah.
important to a 35-year-old mom? A quick, you know, something cute and quick that they can throw on. They're still going to look great while they're running around with children, you
Yep.
know?
Or attending games,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If they're sitting outside, it's hot, it's baseball season. If you're showing, a fun tank top for a mom to wear to her son's or daughter's softball, baseball game, then you know what? You're going to attract her for multiple reasons. It's trendy. It's sitting outside. It's supporting their child. Where if you were to be showing, maybe more of a sweatshirt that is going to really target a younger generation, because fleece is year round now, that may not resonate with her, where an 18-year-old could go, you know what, I'm going to wear that sweatshirt even when it's 90 degrees outside, but the mom's going to want to be in a tank top. So it's just really important to make sure that whatever content you're putting out there, you're actually thinking about what it is you're putting out there, that you're not just going, oh, this is a pretty picture, I'm going to post it.
Right.
Now, when it comes to Facebook, and really kind of looking at the content that you're posting on Facebook, why would you post something maybe on Facebook but not on Instagram or another platform?
Well, it really depends. So, as we're saying who is your ideal customer, you have to think of where they are. Because, is your 35 to 45-year-old on Facebook, or are they on Instagram? Like, those are things you need to think about. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think that every business in the world should still have a Facebook page, just even as a placeholder, right? Just
Yeah.
as something to be found, right? You've got to have your information on every channel, I believe, as placeholders. So if someone is looking for something or whatnot, they're going to find you. Or if they're looking for you specifically, they're going to find you. But making sure that you know where your customers are is the number one thing. So Instagram is much more visual, right?
Okay.
So
Yep.
Facebook, you can do sort of longer captions, different, what am I trying to say, Kelly?
Well, like,
different.
yeah,
It's different though.
like on Instagram, I know if you have a carousel, which is multiple images, then it only shows one at a time, and then you basically swipe through that carousel.
Right.
If you have a carousel on Facebook, it doesn't show up as a carousel. It shows up as multiple images in that one post. So then you have to click on to see other, which, visually takes away from what you've achieved on Instagram, is going to be very different than Facebook, right? So I think if you're wanting to do that type of content, you've either got to consider, okay, maybe I'll only do 2 pictures. That way they are equal size on Facebook. Or if I'm going to have 4 pictures, then they're all going to be different sizes and maybe visually won't be as appealing on Facebook as what it is on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Also, one thing to mention about if you're doing multiple pictures, on Facebook, make sure that you're clicking into each one and putting a description on each one because of what you were just saying, that they don't flow together like they would on an Instagram carousel. A lot of things will become different, or they won't make sense, right? As you're looking at them, they just don't make sense. So
Sure.
yeah, so to make sure that you're filling in the information. But on both Instagram and Facebook, you can use Reels, so short videos. You can put those out there. Videos are great. I would say um, for some of the content to post on your channels, again, keep in mind who your ideal customer is and post items that they would want. I would say don't post only about yourself. Social media, I've said it 100 times, social media is meant to be social. It's building trust with your community, with the people you want to attract. People are not necessarily buying from people they don't know, right?
Sure.
They need to know, like, and trust you before they really want to become your customer. I mean, I think nowadays people are a little bit more apt to just click and buy, but I think you'll get a long-term customer if you've built more of a relationship with the people that are following you. Um, I'm going to say this out loud because I really believe in it and it doesn't make sense to do it. Don't buy followers.
Oh,
You would
yes.
much rather have 10 followers who are engaged with your content and who talk to you and you talk to them than having 10,000 people that don't do anything for you, and you've wasted a bunch of money to get fake people so it looks like you have someone or you have a following. But if you have a huge group of followers that aren't engaged, people can see that, and it does more harm than good. That's
So
my
basically, it's like having 10,000 followers, but every time you post, only 5, 6 are liking your post or even really seeing your post, because do those
right.
other people really exist? I
Yeah,
don't know.
no,
I mean,
absolutely. Here's another thing too. So you want to have content that's engaging. So it doesn't always have to be just about you. Like, I don't encourage this at all where you're saying, buy this, buy my stuff, it's all about me. It's all about me. I use this this analogy a lot. I'm sure Kelly's sick of hearing it, but it's the idea of, if you go to a cocktail party and you walk up to a group of people and one person is actually only talking about themselves and they're not reading the room. They're just, I'm so great. Look at me. This is what I do. I'm so, awesome. I would walk up and I would turn around and leave, because what's the point of being there, right? A
yep.
conversation is a two-way street. It's not a one-way fire hose of how great I am, right?
I love a fire hose. Yep. It's
Yeah.
like
I know
constant hit in the face. Yeah.
we all know people like that, right? We all know people that are only talking about themselves all the time. I don't encourage that at all. I encourage, like at Stahls, we actually use, and Transfer Express, we use an 80/20 ratio of content and sales. So 80% of our content is educational, fun, funny, makes you think, makes you laugh, you know, is relatable, all those things. It might not even have anything to do with t-shirt printing or heat printing at all. It might be something as simple as, what are you drinking today?
Yeah.
Are you drinking coffee or tea? Like, We just want to get to know our community, right? And then 20% is sales. I mean, granted, we're in this, we're in business to make money too, like everyone else, but we're not, but on our social channels, it's more about being social and learning who our community is.
So, there's been a couple of analogies that you have used that I actually love, and one of them is the jab jab hook. Is that what it is? Is it jab jab hook? And that kind of goes along with the 80-20 rule of laugh, fun, relate, engage, and then go in with the sale mentality. I love that one. And then another one is kind of at a cocktail party again that you've used, about being actually social on social media on all platforms. It's not just being social on Facebook or being social on Instagram or even being social on TikTok, even though TikTok is full of videos. It's about being social. So if you were, having a conversation with somebody at a cocktail party again, and they walk up to you and they ask you a question or they say hi, and then you look at them and then you walk away, you don't engage back, you don't say anything. I think that's a perfect analogy for what not to do actually on social media. So if somebody comments like, oh, I really like that shirt, or that turned out great, or they're asking you a question and you don't go and respond to them or comment back, you just walked away from them at a party or at a social event where they willingly came up to you and tried to start a conversation, but you were like, nah, I'm not going to have it. And that's so important about actually being social on social media.
Absolutely. I think people in general forget that while we're behind screens, whether it be a computer or your phone or whatever, there are people on the other end, right? You're not just playing with your phone. You're actually conversing with people. You may not see them, you may not know them in person, right? But
Yeah.
but they have taken time out of their day, and we all know how our time is super valuable, right? So they've taken, even if it's a couple seconds, to say, oh my gosh, I love that, or nice work, or whatever. How much time would it take you to just hit the like button and say, hey, thanks so much? Is there,
Yep.
and maybe start a conversation, right? Are there any designs you've been looking for, or, anything like that? Um, yeah, social media being social, super, super important. Um, I'm gonna also say engaging posts. So like we said, asking, do you like tea or coffee when you heat press or whatever it is, or if we're going back to the 35-year-old mom who is at the ball games all the time, you can say, what do you drink at the ball game?
Yeah.
Something simple, something, people like to talk about themselves. So ask questions that are simple to answer. They don't have to be paragraphs long of anything. It could be either or. Another idea would be like, which design do you like better, this or that, right? This or that's are very easy to do, right? So, but that's twofold. You're getting to know your audience, and each channel is saying, oh, people are engaging with this. They must really like it. So we're going to show it to more people. So that's just uh, organic lifts from the channels themselves, because of course, each channel wants people to be engaged. And so the more engagement you get, the more you'll pop up in people's feeds.
I think also the more gratitude you can show about people contributing to your analytics or just the boost of your page, I think that goes a long way and really resonates with people, because especially as a small business and you took if you're a one man show and you took the time to work on your social media, you're also engaging, you're also turning around and being the bookkeeper, you're turning around and being production, you're turning around and being marketing and client relations, all of that. When you take a minute to engage with somebody, that's a great hook for people. It's like, you know what? Oh, this person they recognized me on their page. Maybe not recognized in terms of facial, but it's the recognition of they're seeing me. They know that I said hi and hello. And even if that person doesn't follow you, that might gain you a follower. That follower might take 7 times or 7 posts, 7 visuals for them to actually turn into a customer. But it's the point, it's the next step in the right direction, simply because you showed a little bit of gratitude by saying thanks, even if you don't know really what to say back. Even if it's a negative post, right? I know negative social media can really, really be destroying for somebody. But at the same time, if it's negative and they've turned around and they're like, oh, I don't like that. Thanks so much for commenting, because you just boosted the post and somebody else will like it. It's like you took the time, you were negative, but I'm going to turn around and make it a positive. And, it's really just kind of changing, I think, the way people can be on Facebook or Instagram, social media in general. It can have that negative connotation, but it's so important to be social.
Yeah.
Now,
I'd like to make a point about that, though. If someone is being negative in your feed, I mean, you can tell if spam bots are in there. You can delete those. That's no big deal. But I wouldn't go and delete negative comments necessarily unless they go against your rules. If they're swearing at you or being really bullying, things like that, we don't deal with that at all. But if it is a customer service issue, or if it is something like, hey, we don't like that, that's not our favorite product. Oh, okay, well, thank you. Or if it might be a problem, even to turn it around. I mean, that's an opportunity for a customer service.
Yep. Absolutely.
To turn it around into a positive or being helpful, right? People are watching. They want to see how you're going to handle that. So if you handle it in a professional way, customer, oriented, very focused on helping that customer get to the next level or get the help that they need, people see that and they think, oh, gosh, if something happened to me, they would take care of me too. So again, you're building trust with your community.
It's funny, right? Because we've talked a little bit about bots. We've talked a little bit about purchasing followers. We've also talked a little bit about engagement. And I think with the world that we live in with influencers, or now there's de-influencers, it's also important to show the contrast of the positive and the negative on a page, because it really humanizes that brand with the idea of going, you know what, they're not perfect, and that's okay, because no one is perfect. And if you were to go to a page that you really don't know a lot about and everybody loves everything, and for me personally, that poses a question of, were these paid? Were these sponsored comments? Were these, somebody was sent a product and in return, leave us some type of good feed. So if I see a hardship or a question of, hey, I haven't received my order, and then I turn around and I see a response from that business, I actually value that as a buying customer, because yes, everybody else has loved the product, but this person actually had a response from the company of saying, we're going to take care of you. Don't worry. We'll make sure that you get things set up. So negative, yes, isn't always the easiest thing to see or read, but it can also validate somebody that is on the edge of purchasing or giving you a shot with an order. They can validate that opportunity. Okay, I do want to try that business, or I do want to try and order that product. Whether or not you're doing product fulfillment for other brands or you're the brand itself, it's still having that I don't know, that check, right? It's all these boxes you want to check of, okay, I don't know who they are, but they're going to take care of me no matter what.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we have talked a little bit about certain things that you need to have: your profile picture, your bio, descriptions on images, posting, types of things to post. What are some other tips to kind of wrap up our social media 101 that you really just think people need to make sure that you're checking those boxes? There can be a lot on social media, but social media can also be easy as long as you're mapping out your plan.
Yeah. So I would say first and foremost, just as a recap, first and foremost, figure out who you're talking to. I think that's the key to everything. And the audience can be different from Facebook to Instagram to TikTok to even Pinterest, right? So,
Yeah.
or YouTube if you want a YouTube channel. So, but you need to figure out who it is you want to attract and figure out some of their pain points, figure out the ages, figure out their demographics, figure out what how your products will help them. Is it, if you're focused on, say, family reunions, right? What's important to a family reunion? What is it's a, multi shirts, it's different areas, things like that. Um Sorry, what, thinking of hashtags. We haven't talked about hashtags, and that's a
Oh my
whole
gosh, we
other
haven't even talked about hashtags.
that's a whole nother thing. We'll
There's
get into
so
that
much to
later.
social media. So this, like this chat, because social media has so many layers, it's an onion, it's a birthday cake. There are so many layers, and it's ever changing, right? It's like, oh
Yeah,
no, this is important. Nope, we got to switch. This is important.
yeah,
But, as a really quick touch, in terms of hashtags, let's say somebody has ticked all the boxes. They've got their bio, they've got their banners, they've got their profile pictures, and you know what? Let's say they're even decent about posting um, hashtags. Where's the importance on that?
well, actually, on both Facebook and Instagram, hashtags are helpful. People follow hashtags, right? So if you some of the things that I like to think of is you want to use hashtags that people are looking for. Again, they're keywords, right? It's all about SEO, search
Mm-hmm.
engine optimization. It's what will pop up when you search for something. So if you're a local business, you might ship all over the country, but let's say you're a local business that wants to sell to like the surrounding counties or whatever. You can put like I'm in Michigan, so I would put like hashtag Oakland, Michigan, or hashtag Detroit, hashtag, you know, Harrison Township or whatever. There's all different cities. But so you can put hashtags for different local areas or local cities. And then let's say you're looking at a mom, right? A baseball mom. So you could do hashtag baseball mom, things like that. So it's using hashtags that make sense to your post. I would say too, though, to be wary of hashtags that have over 1 million followers
Yeah.
because, everyone thinks, oh, we're going to go that way. Well, unfortunately, you're not going to be found in that. Like, that's a hard truth, but sometimes people are, but usually they're celebrities. So I would go with maybe like a 25,000 follower and down, maybe. Even
Okay.
the 500 followers can be really great because it's so small
Mm-hmm.
and it still is relevant. If it is still relevant to your ideal customer, you will most likely be found, right?
Yeah.
Because 500 people is a whole lot less than 10 million, right? Or even 10,000, right? It's that micro. section of the hashtag.
And so basically what you're saying, like if somebody were to click on that hashtag, because it becomes like a clickable moment in Facebook or Instagram, I think even TikTok, but what happens is it pops up everybody that has used that hashtag. And so when there's a million people that have used the hashtag or, follow it, the ones that have hundreds of thousands or a million followers, they're going to pop to the top. And, smaller businesses are on Facebook, Instagram are going to pop to the bottom. So when you have a hashtag that only has 500, it's going to help you get seen in that more of a niche type of hashtag, which is going back to making sure that you know who you're talking to, who you're targeting, what the point is of that post on really being found.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, because I know we could talk about social media all day long, is there any other tip that you have, about just getting started with social media?
You know what? Just do it. It moves so fast, right? It's so incredibly fast, social is, that it just do it. Just get in there. Don't worry about, this is so crazy coming from me, and Kelly will laugh, I'm sure, because I have been terrified to get on the podcast or go live or anything like that. But don't worry about being real. People want you to be real. People love people who are real. They don't need you to be all polished and all, influencer like, right? It's just, you're a business person and you're a person. And social is person to person, really. That's the whole key. Like, we are just people being people. So if you're working in your shop and you're heat pressing a shirt, show that. Even if you're on your scrubs or your t-shirt and your shorts or whatever, just be a person.
Yep.
I would say do a variety of posts, right? Do your videos. People are still loving videos, although they're switching it up a little bit. So images are back on Instagram. Who knows? But I mean, they can't make up their mind. But do a variety of posts. Do videos, do images, do quotes, do, this or that post, engagement posts. Do something that's relevant. But again, keep it 80-20. 20% is selling. Most of the time it's just engaging and having fun, and you can have your product in it, but it can't be all just buy now. Think of those cocktails parties that no one wants to go to, just talking about themselves, or the fire hose. That's my favorite one.
I love it. That was great. Yeah, that was a new one. You haven't said that one before, so I love that one.
Yeah, so I would just say, but again, once you figure out who your niche is, and you know what, ask your customers, where are they on social? Poll them. That has no, that's totally fine. Another thing, and we haven't talked about this either, and I will just throw it out there, especially on Facebook, right? There are groups. Make a group for your community. Then that's a dedicated space that you can really talk to your community. So you could for your shop, you could make a community of your customers where you can really show your products and other people can share things and whatnot. So that's just another idea.
And it becomes about a community of like-minded people versus a community of people that are buying, right? Like it's spinning it to the element of, hey, these are people that like my business or follow me or follow, business and personally. And then that's just another little element for you to be even more real in a group, because then you can either close the group, keep it open, and it becomes a little bit more personal in that community.
Mm-hmm. One more thing I would say, this is just one more tip, and then I'll let you go, is we all know you guys are so busy, right? Like, my entire job is social media, so I get it. Like, you're thinking, oh, it's so much easier for you. Well, nope. It is, except we have 8 channels, right?
Yep.
So that's one thing. Okay, I have 2 things. So one thing is, open 1 or 2 channels and make those great. Don't open 8. there's no reason anyone should have 8 as a small business right now. Like, you just want to be where your customers are, and and be great at it, right? It doesn't have to be, you don't have to spread yourself so thin on every channel. Don't have to be like, oh, squirrel, I got to go over here and do this, right?
Yeah.
Or, oh, this is new, I have to be on it. Well, if your customers aren't on it, there's no reason for you to be on it, right?
Yep.
Don't waste your time on stuff like that. The shiny channel syndrome, or whatever they call it. But the other thing I would say is schedule your posts. Don't do it willy-nilly. Take an hour out of your week. Facebook and Instagram, there is Business Manager. It used to be Creator Studio, now it's Business Manager, where you can go in and schedule your posts out, and then they just automatically go on the date and time that you want them to go. So you're not like, oh shoot, I have to post today. It's like, no, it's already scheduled. So then that frees up your time to do your business, but it also gives you time to go and communicate. So if someone is, commenting, you can go and have a little bit of a conversation with them and see what they're doing or liking. And don't forget to engage in other people's posts. Don't only do it on yours, go into other people's pages and start talking. I wouldn't say buy my stuff on that, but I would get into the conversation as well, and that will give you awareness too. Yeah, I'll stop there because I'm sure we'll have enough. There's so much to say.
We've given so many nuggets of information when it comes to social media. And for those of you that have, paused or come back into this podcast, go and listen again, rewind, make the notes. I know in one of our other chats, we actually had people write down information. Who's their target customer? Where are their customers at? And answering those questions, that way you can build out a roadmap to really successfully build your business on those social media platforms. And I don't mean business in terms of gaining more orders and customers. I mean the storefront mentality of your mannequins are your pictures, your times are your times on when you're open or when somebody can come and see you, or even when you're active on social media platforms. So it's just giving people that information. We want you to be successful in that route. That way people can find you and access you and bring you those orders. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we will have more conversations about social media. And for those of you that are not in our Heat Press for Profit group on Facebook, go and join that community. There's a lot of questions from business to social media, and we are always chiming in, as well as other members of the community in that group. So thank you so much. And it was a pleasure. And I know that this was a little nerve-wracking, but we got it done. We got it done. We'll do it again.
Very fun. Thanks.
Happy decorating, everyone.